And you're gonna take some black, and you're just gonna just put a very little bit amount of black on your brush, just kind of go back and forth. And you're gonna start by, it almost looks like a spider. You're gonna hold the brush where the small bristles are leading. You're gonna hold it, and then you're just gonna flick it. And then you're gonna just go flick it again, and then flick it again, and it's all going the same direction. And then all of a sudden, the tree leaves start to fall the other direction. So make sure you flick it the other direction. It's a very quick motion, so that way this brush automatically comes to a point. Just a very quick guideline with black. You can do this to every tree right now. Go ahead and do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can do as many as you want. 6, 7. You might even add more after, because it might have a bare spot that you want to include. And then you would make this one nice and big that can go off the canvas, especially if you came a little closer to the edge of the canvas. Okay, I'm going to actually add just a little bit of water to my black, just make it a little bit more fluid, almost to the point where it looks like ink. I don't want it to drip, but I do want it to be a little bit more fluid. So I'm going to take my brush. I'm always going to come back to the stem. Come to the stem, lead with the shorter bristles, and then you're going to flare out. Where this stem is angled this direction, so you're going to make sure that your little leaves are angled that direction. You're just kind of cutting off the curve that much sooner. This is a very gradual slope. This is a little bit more of an angled slope. You're going to come back on the top of the leaf, and again with black, you're just going to go out. This one is even less gradual slope, kind of goes out that way. Anytime that you do anything like a leaf or a tree branch or anything at a 90-degree angle, it almost gives it the impression that it's maybe broken. So it's very soft, just flare, just kind of, you're just gradually flaring out and down, and then this one is up and out on the top. And you're doing this with black. I know you're like, why are we doing this with black? Well, what happens when we add the black first? We are creating that backdrop, all these leaves that possibly are in the shadow that is not getting hit by light, and it's going to make those greens, the greens with the yellows, the greens with the whites, all those shades of green, they're going to pop that much more on top of this black. So you're going to just come back up to this stem, and you're going to go, just follow that curve, but just cut it off just a little bit. And then this one's going to go out. You can overlap your leaves. Overlapping just shows that the tree is that much more healthy, that there's some perspective and dimension in the tree. So I say the fuller that it is, the healthier it looks anyway. And then I'm going to flip my brush, so I'm always going with those outside, those shorter bristles to the outside there. Go out and then down. If you're not getting quite a sharp point at the edge, it might be that your brush is not more at a 90-degree angle, or you're a little bit more controlled. Either or, I think with a palm tree there is no wrong. So, but if you do want that point, just very quickly lift up your brush. It's just like a flick of the wrist. You can go ahead and do this with each tree. Just go ahead and do those black leaves. You can see that my trees are all overlapping. They're all kind of met at the same plane anyway. They all look like they're kind of on that same level. So if they overlap, it's okay. And even if they were on different planes, you're just showing that one is behind the other. So that is not a problem either. That is very good, in fact. Okay. Once you get to that point, go ahead and wash this ankle brush out. Make sure you're breathing. I know the hardest part is adding black, and as bold as this is, you can get a little nervous. I'll admit it, I get a little nervous. Once you get this, like I said, go ahead and wash your angle brush out. You're gonna take a little bit of green, and you're gonna do the same thing that you did with the black. You're just gonna go right back to that stem, and you're just gonna brush very quickly. You're gonna add some green on there. The green's gonna overlap some of the black, and it's not going to overlap some of the black. Some of that black peeking through, like right here, like I said, it's just that backdrop, that deep shadow, those leaves that are in the background that we don't see detail. You're just gonna quickly come back and see I have some green that doesn't even hit any black, doesn't even overlap any of those black leaves. That's okay. Just go ahead and add some green to this one. So really quickly, and they're just, again, really quick strokes. So lifting up your brush so that way it comes to a point. You come to that sharp point that most of these palm leaves have. The only difference that we're going to do this time, though, is rather than do all of them green all at once, we want the green to stay wet. We want to mix all these different colors and get different shades. So after you do this layer of green, then you're going to take a little bit of yellow. And since our light source is coming from the left, I'm going to consider everything that's the top and closer to the left a little bit brighter. So that yellow just helps make that a little bit brighter. You can take some to the underside because maybe some of these leaves are at the top of the stem. You can gradually make some of your leaves that much more full by adding more color. You can make them longer if you think that they're a little too short now. Just keep adding, making it look that much more healthy. And I'll just take a little bit of yellow on the top of this one, maybe on the top of this one, a little, not as bright because this is heading over to the right. The tree is angled, so it's going to be angled away from the light source. If you ever put a little too much color on your brush, again, the more you repeat the same stroke, the more it blends in. Or, in that case, you could take a little bit more green and just kind of add it together and just dye it down a little bit. I'm also not going to wash my brush out. Add a little bit of white. Just take a little bit of white from your outside edge, and that little bit of white creates a very light, kind of like a lime color. And I'm just really concentrating on the tips more than anything. If your paint ever starts to dry out, don't hesitate. Don't be scared to just add a little bit more in there. If it's just tacky, you can add a little bit of water and it will get fluid again and it'll be easy to blend in. But if it's starting to lean a little bit a little bit more dry, then adding just, your greens and your black and everything, getting that all moving again is just fine. Now, I also think I want this tree to be a lot more full. I feel that this is really bare, so I'm actually going to take just a little bit of black, and I'm going to give myself just a small little leaf right here. I'm just going to add that on. So I'm going to start with the black, go in with the green, I'm going to add just a very little bit of yellow on my left side there. maybe to help thicken it up a little bit, maybe I will go ahead and add a little to the right. And I'm going to go ahead and add just a little bit of white to help break it up a little bit. Sometimes when you're adding so many colors together, your brush does feel like it's starting to get caked and it's very hard to work with, and sometimes the bristles might actually start to split apart a little bit. Don't hesitate to wash your brush out, make sure you dab that paper towel, and then you can come back in. So go ahead and you can add a little bit more black in there if you want a little bit more bold.